Welcome to another episode of Mental Odyssey. This week is going to be another advice video accompanied by my wonderful, handsome husband.
That's me.
That's you. Thanks for being here, Gary.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, we have some questions prepared via Reddit. Shout out for gathering those. Let's jump right into that.
Let's do it. I think everyone knows what to expect from the previous one, so we'll just get right into it. And today we've got two stories, or two posts, that both have updates.
Yes.
So I think it would be kind of cool if we did the one,
And then the update.
then gave advice or talked about it or whatever, and then did the update.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
All right, A or B?
B.
B it is. Okay. My 38 female husband, 39 male, hid having lunch with a coworker, 25 female, and said my food was tasteless. What do I do?
Steamy.
I'd be pretty heated. I'm still thinking about the soup I made 2 weeks ago.
It was pretty
It was
bland.
tasteless. And I thought that was okay to serve to people. So anyone who ate that, I'm sorry. That's not my usual delicious food.
It's not your caliber.
That was a disgrace. I will kill myself post-haste
Oh my god.
after this.
I told you to just add some salt and pepper.
Shouldn't have had to. I don't cook like that. I shouldn't have had to. But
You were still cooking it. I don't understand that. Anyway, get into the It was still on the burner when you were like, no, it's fucked. It can't be fixed. I'm like, add some salt and pepper to
it.
it.
Be so flavorful that you can either drink it outright or slightly water it down for a soup, and I watered it down too much.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So then, while you're still cooking, because you're still the cook, you weren't the cook when you made the fucking stock. You're still the cook now.
Look, embarrassment took over, and rationality was not present. I was going to
Fair.
throw the soup out the window.
At least you acknowledge that, like, there was a very easy, logical answer to that, which would just be a little S&P.
But I genuinely believe to work harder, not smarter.
I believe that with my whole soul, that you believe that.
That's why we work, because you work smarter, not harder.
I definitely do, all the time. Okay, back to the email.
Back to the email. I want this to be quick. I feel really weird about this, and I'm on the verge of asking for a separation. Damn.
You should have wrote something earlier. Did you say, do we have a button for that?
Yeah, like some sort of...
Wah, wah, wah.
Wah, wah. Maybe not that.
It's not.
Jesus. Better.
Closer. No.
No. Oh,
There it
there
is.
it is. Okay.
It's the green button.
I hope this poster doesn't hear that and take offense to us clapping about the separation. Anyways.
I did not clap. I didn't.
Yeah. Anyways, so I've been with my husband for 15 years, married for 11. Amazing relationship, small bumps, of course, but nothing like this. I've always made lunch for my husband to take to work, and up until a little over a month ago, that was fine. Middle of March, he said that a new Turkish food stand opened up outside his office and that he had been eating lunches there instead because they were good. All right, no problem. So he just completely stopped asking for lunches. I had maybe packed 5 during this time frame for him, but I'm not even sure he was eating them now. So on Thursday, I was at home working and I saw a phone call from him, thought he was calling during his lunch, but he had butt dialed me instead.
Oh.
At first, I didn't hear much, just him talking to someone, and I was about to hang up until I heard a woman's voice as well. I wouldn't say I'm a jealous person, but I was a little bit curious, so I muted my call at work and listened. It was just standard conversation at first. He was praising this woman's cooking a lot, which of course made me realize that he was eating lunch at this coworker made. I was a bit peeved, but there's an explanation, sure. Although that went out of Sorry. Although that went out the fucking window when she said, "Is it better than your wife's?" To which he replied, "Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's not bit my tongue, sorry. It's not tasteless for a start," followed by laughing.
Oh no. That's almost worse than cheating.
Yeah.
That's almost worse than
Almost.
cheating.
Almost. I mean, at least if you think
Have
it's
the
tasteless,
decency to
her
tell
face.
me.
Anyways, first of all, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? 15 years of cooking and now he has a complaint?
Right.
And not even to me, but some coworker. Also, that absolutely isn't innocent on her end, right? I'm not crazy and thinking that's so weird. Why even bring me up? Anyway, I raised hell, ended the call, sent him a message to not worry about my tasteless cooking anymore, and that he can eat from the bin from now on.
Ew.
I wonder if they're British.
Must be.
He's apologized and said that he loves my food and was just trying to seem cool in front of his coworker. I asked why he lied about where he was getting lunch from, and he said that initially he did get it from that stand, but the coworker started offering and he didn't want to tell me because he thought I would get jealous. Then in parentheses, yeah, can you blame me?
Yeah, if, like, real quick, if you have a feeling that your husband or wife or partner may be jealous about something that you're doing or an interaction that you're having, I feel like that is your cue to bring it up.
Yeah.
That is your cue to be like, hey, I thought that this might be something that you need to know. And I'm kind of worried that you're going to react some type of way, but
That's assuming her
I
husband
still
cares.
need to. What do you mean?
Cares about the jealousy?
Yeah.
Like maybe there's more
He might
problems
not
besides
actually
the food.
be. Well, he might not. Yeah. Who knows? Anyway.
Anyways. So I've been airing him since. I'm still pissed, to be honest. I haven't made him lunch or dinner, only for myself, since he said that he dislikes it so much. He said that today he's apologized and that I shouldn't keep punishing him, but I'm literally an inch from going to my mum's. Oh, British.
Yep.
I have a suitcase with my clothes packed under our bed ready. Dad thinks it was a stupid comment, but that I should work it out. Mum is on my side regardless of my decision. I'm thinking about leaving for a few days at least, maybe a separation, but honestly, I just want some reassurance if that's what's best here.
Is that the end of it? First of all, why don't you guys communicate?
Right.
Why aren't you honest with each other? I feel like that's what I hear in the underground of this entire conversation. Like, that whole email is like, we don't talk to each other. He didn't tell me why he stopped eating lunch, the real reason why.
Right.
He didn't speak up to me when he felt jealous. He didn't tell me that my food sucks ass.
Well, and this coworker that's been cooking for him is 14 years younger.
Also, the fact that she brought up the wife's cooking, it's almost like he goes to work with the lunch. Like, this is what I'm imagining. He goes to work with the lunch. He bitches to his coworkers about the lunch and how tasteless it is. They're like, dude, there's a dank food truck out front. Why are you not? Okay, I guess I'll try that. Oh,
And
okay, this
Turkish
is
food?
pretty good. Right? And then this chick sees her opportunity to go and serve a need for this dude with cooking and is like, ooh, I'm going to bring some homemade shit, get a leg up with my coworker, hopefully literally.
That's hilarious.
Ew, that's a big age. Anyway. That's what I imagine is like the whole, like there's intent, because why else would she bring up the wife thing if he hadn't previously bitched about his wife's cooking, right? Like there had to have been pre-conversation to this. And again, my question becomes, why are you guys not communicating with each other? Why is he not telling you that he doesn't like your food?
Right. And like, there's that stereotype that British food is notoriously bland.
Yeah.
And just flavorless. I don't know if it's true. I've never been to Britain. But
yeah, I was thinking of that stereotype as well.
Either way, Turkish
it can
food.
be fixed.
Turkish food is a little pungent.
Right.
They use spices, and it can be a very different flavor profile. And if you got used to having Turkish food, maybe his wife's food did become tasteless all of a sudden.
Well,
but it sounds
I'm
like
imagining
it wasn't a
it
sudden
was
problem.
beforehand.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it was a sudden
If you've
problem.
been cooking his lunches or making his lunches for 15 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so after talking with my parents about just my experience and lived childhood and their experience in the marriage, I've gotten advice from both of them that the fights about the dishes weren't always about the dishes.
Right.
Like this fight about the food might not be about the food.
Well,
It could just be like a catalyst, and there's deeper issues here than just your food is tasteless. Because like this woman packed him lunch for 15 years or 11 years or however long she said.
If she took pride in taking care of her man in that way,
Right.
he took that away from her, and there's no conversation about it.
And now there's a lot deeper hurt than just, you said my cooking is tasteless.
Right. It's like you went on, didn't tell me for all of this time. You went out of your way to tell somebody else you're eating someone else's cooking and keeping it away from me. I don't think, it sounds like she didn't even say, hey, you butt dialed me and I eavesdropped on the conversation that you were having. You know, like even that conversation, she secretly has a bag packed under the bed. Why are you doing that?
Well, she did say that after she eavesdropped on the conversation,
she texted him
and texted him right away. But yeah, there was a bag
but
under
she
the
didn't
bed.
say, hey, dude, you just butt dialed me. Like, none of this is coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of, like, miscommunication.
Or no communication.
Yeah, it's like...
she didn't know that he thought her cooking was tasteless.
Yeah, it's what we were talking about, where the cutaways are the honest part, and the cutaway is when he's at work.
Here's the other thing, too. It could be where her cooking is not tasteless.
Right.
It has some flavor to it. He was just saying that to try and flirt with the coworker.
Right.
Which has worse connotations.
But either way, let's ask questions and get to the bottom of it.
Taking this at face value, I think she's over-exaggerating by packing a bed. However, I think she's leaving out a lot of other stuff that leads to her packing a bag. It's not just, my cooking's tasteless, I'm going to leave
Right.
it.
There's context. This is like the icing.
Yeah.
The cherry on top.
With that, shall we read the update?
Yes.
All right. So the update, same title. I'm back. It's not a great update, but you all deserve... Sorry. I'm back. It's not a great update, but you all deserve one for all of the advice you gave me on my last post. He confirmed that he developed a crush on her. It's an emotional affair at least, and that's all I really need to hear. I sat him down and had a heart-to-heart with him. Bottom line are these points. If I hadn't have heard what he said, he most likely would have continued flirting with her. He admitted this himself. He liked the attention. She had badmouthed me previously. Quote, I didn't ask for examples. And he didn't shut it down because he liked it. She has actively been pursuing him for over 3 months. He hadn't put a stop to it until I caught him.
Yup, I knew it.
The Saturday before last, she offered to give him a blowjob during lunch together. He declined, but he told me that he'd let her feel his muscles over his clothes.
Just muscles?
Maybe one in particular. The only reason he said all of this fucking shit was because I was all sweet and I said, I promise, tell me the full truth and we can move on. I'll forgive you. I just want to know. Was she lying? If she was like, I'll forgive you, I just want to know and we can move on.
Yeah, that's not honest communication.
Bag, dude. All right, well, speculation. We'll move on. So tell me the full truth. We can move on. I'll forgive you. I just want to know. Right. Fuck that. He is packing his bags. This is my house, and it will be treated as such. I really don't care anymore. If he seriously deluded himself into thinking this is going to last, he can crack on. I'm genuinely so angry more than anything. I did everything for... Oh, sorry, there's a period there. I'm genuinely so angry more than anything. I did everything for him. I make double what he does, so I paid all the bills while we used his money for fun stuff. When we met, he had crippling CPTSD and body dysmorphia. I did fucking everything to help him get over it. I dealt with his night terrors every bloody night, despite it ruining my sleep. I reassured him constantly despite not getting it back. All of it without a bloody complaint. You love someone so much just for them to let you throw. You love someone so much just for them to throw you away so easily. He cried, had a panic attack, and I had to calm him down from, and he is now taking his time packing. He keeps stopping to come into the living room and ask for a hug. I can't even express how disgusted I feel, like I physically can't even look at him anymore. There was no need. If he was unhappy, he should have told me. I don't know why the hell he even felt the need to get some validation from this girl, but sure, whatever.
Real quick, that comment that she made just now is not true. The whole, if he had a problem, he could have came to me. That's not true. That's not true at all. You guys have a series of not communicating with each other, and you play into that just as much as he does.
We're assuming they do.
From everything that has been included in this email and the prior one, you guys do not communicate, so it is not fair to just be like, well, you could have just come talk to me. No, we haven't built that as a steady way that we check in with each other. Mm-hmm. It's not just going to happen. The room doesn't just exist. You have to make that shit. That's why they say that marriage is hard. That's why they say relationships are hard. You have to build that communication.
And we don't know if maybe he tried to and she had a very negative response.
Right. Like, we don't know how communication or how they got here. Like, how it has broken up in the past to where they're just settling for being dishonest with each other all the time. Right. Or at least withholding information. I would at least call this withholding information. On his end, it's more than that. But for her, she's withholding some pretty important information that she was, like, right at the edge. So, I mean, she said she had a heart-to-heart, but they should have been talking way earlier.
Oh, they should have been. And, again, taking this at face value, we don't know if they did or not.
Right.
I looked up what CPTSD is.
Complex PTSD.
Right. I thought it was combat PTSD. Mm-mm. But no, it's complex PTSD. And when I looked it up, there was a chart that came up comparing CPTSD to BPD. Mm-hmm. And so if there is a comparison between those two, that means that he would likely struggle with communication. Right. Right. So.
Which is extra reason for you guys to be on top of that shit.
Sure. Yeah. Anyways, moving on. Okay, got it. He keeps saying he doesn't know why he did it, but of course he knows. He's just too much of a coward to tell me. Well, whatever. It's done now.
Also, that's not fair. I don't like that at all.
Well, whatever. It's done now. He's leaving. His family is back in Germany, so fuck knows who he's staying with. Probably her, but I'm washing my hands of him. Thank you for all the advice you gave me on the last post. So many great ideas that I didn't even end up needing to use because he just downright admitted it all to me. Small update. 8-5. What? We're only in May. Oh, right. British. It switched. So on May 8th.
You should read this one in a British accent.
I need to work on that before I do. I insult the British enough. I don't need to do it by trying to mock them. Had a phone consultation with a divorce attorney. I won't know for sure until I meet them in person next Friday, but given the salary gap and the life we had, I might have to pay alimony. Biggest bullshit I've ever heard. That sucks, dude.
Yeah.
That sucks. But, like, also, you kind of shot yourself in the foot. Because if you are paying all the bills and you make double the salary,
yeah,
when the roles are switched, there's an alimony.
Yes, yeah.
Most of the time, there's a time limit associated with the alimony. So, like, you have to pay it for a year or 2 years or whatever. God help those poor souls that are locked into it for a decade or more.
Yeah.
Because that does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I want to read this first comment. Because the original poster said, that's so unbelievably true, I can't say anything. To the first comment, to the top comment. Wait, it's a long one.
Did we read the second update? Mm-hmm. The May 8th?
Yeah. Update? About the alimony.
Oh.
Yeah. Divorce attorney, alimony. Yeah. So, top comment. Doesn't know why he did it? Here's my guess based on the info you shared. 1. You saw him at his weakest and most vulnerable. You are clearly still his backbone, judging from his current behavior. He doesn't get to play the toxic image of a manly man. To you, in his mind, you are stronger than him. Let me rephrase that. He doesn't get to play the toxic image of a manly man to you. In his mind, you are stronger than him. I guarantee he hasn't opened up to her about any vulnerabilities he has. It sounds like she has appealed to the toxic manly man ideal of making food and offering blowjobs to the big, strong, muscular man. He gets to inflate his ego in a way he can't with you. Not only... Okay, pause. That's something I didn't think about.
I was going to say, I really like that. I like how that's...
Sure, but...
Like, it's feeding a different part of him.
Yeah, it is. It's feeding... I mean, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
But also, something I didn't think about, what if he is feeling insecure about that?
Right.
And his wife doesn't puff him up, so to speak.
Right.
Like, doesn't give him the compliments anymore. Doesn't, like, we started this podcast, you called me handsome. That's great. That's all it takes. You're nice to me. It's easy. But maybe she doesn't give him compliments. Maybe after so many years of marriage, she's like, well, we're here. We're just going through the motions. Like, she's not going anywhere. I don't need to do anything, or vice versa. Sounds like it's less vice versa and more he actively tried to go somewhere else. But
well, there also is the chance that she said that they have kids, right?
I don't know. I don't think it's come up. I don't remember.
For some reason, I thought that she said that they have kids. But maybe that's like, maybe she's feeling more maternal towards him after seeing, like, not having to, but being a part of getting him through his PTSD stuff. Like, potentially she's looking at him as somebody that needs help, needs support, needs to be saved.
Yeah.
You know, needs to be taken care of like that. And that can, like, change the role. And then she's treating him like a kid because she feels like she has to take care of him like a kid. And then he's like, why are you treating me like a kid?
Right.
Wants to feel like a man. Someone's making him feel like a man when she's making him feel like a kid.
There's a phrase out there going around on social media that I really don't like. When gals get the ick about their boyfriend or husband or whatever it is. The ick is when you see him doing something childlike or just being a goofball and you're like, oh, no thanks, never mind, I'm no longer attracted to him.
That's fucked up because you pick up the whole stick.
Right.
All of the good with all of the other shit. Like,
sure. And, like, it's becoming a normalized thing.
Ew, I don't like that at all.
I don't like it either. Yeah. It's a new thing. I think there's better ways of describing it.
Don't shame your man for shit that he fucking...
Sure.
No.
Yeah. It's also social media, so take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Moving on. Not only have you emotionally supported him, you are the main breadwinner, the provider. You cover the bills, the roof over your head. His contribution is the unnecessary fun stuff. I don't think it's unnecessary, but I digress. This is yet another blow to the toxic manly man's fragile ego. He probably considers himself financially superior to her. His money could hold more value to her instead of it just being fun money you won't really miss. He is older than her, gets to seem like the wiser, more worldly adult of the relationship. He will feel superior to her in every way he feels inferior to you. 4. He enjoyed the negative... I don't think I said, but that was 3. Or 3 is he is older than her. 4. He enjoyed the negative comments made about your food, not because they were necessarily true, but because it meant you weren't perfect and someone else was validating it. Again, when you are insecure, it is easier to find faults, be derogatory towards a perceived threat to drag them down instead of building themselves up. Conclusion. Major insecurity, inflation of ego from someone he feels he holds superiority over, and as fucking usual, instead of recognizing this bullshit, speaking to his wife who has done nothing but love and support him, go to see a therapist to work on his feelings, he goes down the easy road. Instead of doing the work to overcome his feelings of inadequacy, it was so much easier to gravitate to someone who not only let him ignore those feelings for a while, they also found a way to tear you down. I'm sorry you're experiencing this. It is truly pathetic when someone would sooner risk causing this terminal heartbreak than suffer short-term discomfort by communicating. It's pathetic. So, I kind of agree.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that.
It sucks that he chose not to communicate and instead took the
But so did
easier
she.
path.
So did she.
Well, again, there's two sides of the story, and the truth is always somewhere in between.
Right.
So I have a theory, devil's advocate, that even though she was packing him those lunches, there's a lot more that goes into it. You can't just pack a lunch every day and call yourself a wonderful wife. There's communicating, there's other acts of service around the house. And I don't know what her work schedule was.
Right.
I think she said she worked from home because she paused a call or something.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, it doesn't matter. Like, it goes both ways. And we know for sure by this post that he was not holding up his end of the bargain.
Right.
But there was no mention of her not holding up her end of the bargain. It goes both ways. You both need to put in the effort. And honestly, it does surprise me how many people I hear about who don't know their significant other enough to know that what they need is to have their ego inflated from time to time. If he wants to be the big, strong, muscular man, make him feel that way.
Right.
What's wrong with that?
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely his shit to bring it up and be like, hey, you know what? I've been feeling an attraction to a chick at work, and I realize that it's because she makes me feel like a man.
Right.
And I would love to feel like a man with you.
Sure.
I feel emasculated by a lot of the things in this. And it would make a big difference if you would just like tell me I look handsome every once in a while and like smack my ass. And I don't know what guys like. Is that it? Compliment my shirt.
Just about, yeah. Just be nice to us, dude.
Notice when I shave my mustache a little bit. Like,
I mean, you got a haircut like a month ago and I didn't even say anything for like 2 days. So
I like harped on it too. I was like, yeah, I went to go get a haircut today. Went to go get a haircut while we were at the haircutting place.
And it still took me a day.
After I was like, hey, dearie.
Yep. Sorry. But like,
it happens.
All the stereotypes in the movies, every woman wants to be called beautiful, even if she looks like death warmed over. She doesn't want to feel that way.
Yeah.
She wants to be puffed up. She wants to be inflated and felt like a valuable person.
Right.
And
everybody
men want
does.
that too.
Yeah,
and
everybody does.
So again, just taking this at face value, there is no mention of what she did or did not do other than make him a lunch.
Right.
So communication, folks. Communication is where this one failed.
Yep.
And it sounds like they hadn't been communicating for a while. And I mean, she knew he has a mental illness and has even said she's had to work with him on it. So that could have played a role.
Right.
Who knows? Either way, communicate with your people.
I was going to say, like, I think a big reason that our relationship works as well as it does is because we have built the communication. I would say we've got 10,000 hours.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like
100%.
we got a bit of it in the first few months.
I mean, the
first year of our relationship, we were talking like every night on the phone for hours.
The first night that we met, like officially met, we were hanging out and talking for 10 hours on day one.
Yeah.
And it takes 90 to become friends with someone, and we were already
within the first 3 weeks, I would say we
there.
had that.
10% of the way there. Yeah. I would within about the first month, because we talked all night the next night on the phone while we were delivering, and the next, and the next.
I'm like getting butterflies about it.
Oh yeah.
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 When we were sitting here last night holding hands, I was just like thinking about the first time that we held hands, where it was like strictly platonic because I had some cold ass hands because we were throwing papers. And you're like, here. And you just like held me so tight, like held my hand so tight.
Was it tight?
Yeah. Like not in like a bad way, but it was just like, you were like, this is here until you don't want it anymore. Basically is like the way that you were holding my hand.
Well, and to preface this wasn't just any random encounter. The day before we had some deep conversation.
Yeah.
And even right after that, you're like, hey, is there anything against us being friends? So it wasn't like I was, how do I phrase this without sounding bad? Like being a predator to you?
How the fuck I just spill my heart out like that and you're like, oh, someone's going to see me as a predator.
Well, no, the phrase I was about to use might have sounded bad. But no, it was really cute. When you were like, oh, my hands are cold. I'm like, dude, my heater doesn't do shit. It
You're
really
like,
doesn't.
here you go.
I was like, I can warm you
here.
up a lot faster. And then I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, this is a chance. Dude, you should have heard the conversation going on in my head.
Yeah.
The whole boardroom up there was freaking
You're
out. Like,
like,
what do we
yeah.
do? What do we do? This is the chance. Yeah. So.
I just love you so much.
I love you too, sweetheart. I'm glad we met the way we did.
I am too.
I'm also glad we were contractors and there was nothing in the contract that said we couldn't be friends.
Yeah, for sure.
So, before we move on to the next one, they posted a third update. These are the only 3 things they posted to their account here. But the username is throwra-lunch. So, I'm guessing they created this account just a bitch. And their regular Reddit account is something else. But either way.
Not just a bitch, but...
Title. Soon-to-be ex saw my update, came to my house, I'm safe.
Ooh!
Yeah. So, I can't post another update to the relationship sub, and I don't know if people would see it if I just made an edit myself on the other post. Some shit went down, but I'm okay. Yesterday night... STB. Oh, soon to be X. STBX. Soon to be X. Got it. Soon to be X contacted me. A lot of people told me to delete my recent update made of the post. It honestly slipped my mind that he could be reading it too. He said that he was a bit hurt that I'd think he would go for alimony, but he understands that given everything. He understands given everything. He told me that he wasn't going to, but if he needed to sign something to prove it, he would. I said, given everything that's happened, he can't blame me for being on alert. He said he's quit his job and that he's thinking about returning to Germany to be with his family there. Additionally, he says he's cut contact with that coworker. He apologized again and wished me the best. Right, and that would have been just fine by itself, but I woke up at about 2:15 a.m. last night needing to wee, and I saw, man, British people are weird. It didn't even say needing to wee, needing a wee. And I saw my ring doorbell going off. You know what? That's kind of a polite way of putting it.
I need a wee.
Instead of like, hey, I gotta go squeeze the lemon.
Piss.
I gotta take a hot whiz. You're needing a wee.
It's kind of cute. It's a
polite.
cute way of saying it.
All right, I take it back. Maybe the British are all right. So they woke up needing a wee and I saw my Ring doorbell going off. I have footage of him just sitting outside my house talking to himself. Literally, he got there at 1-ish, knocked, sat down on my front steps, and started talking. I slept through it and only woke up because I needed the bathroom. I literally sat in my closet for ages just watching the camera, not knowing what to do until he left at 3 a.m. Why wouldn't you go back to bed? Why would you go directly into the closet to watch the fucking camera? Why don't you just go lay in bed and watch the camera?
Yeah, why is the closet here?
Anyways, he's probably going to read this too, but I'm somewhere safe. I just can't tell you all for obvious reasons.
Do they call the bathroom? No, because she said the bathroom.
The water closet?
I was going to say, do they call the bathroom the closet? She just went back to sit on the door.
Oh, well, it says I literally
she said
sat in my closet. And yeah, I only woke up because I needed the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then the next sentence, she's in the closet.
So I take it back. Weird, but okay.
Whatever. Hey, to each their own, dude.
To each their own.
Stranger things have happened.
I've had a meltdown in the closet. It's fine.
Yeah. You go cry in the walk-in and you get back to work.
Yeah.
He's probably going to read this too, but I'm somewhere safe. I just can't tell you all for obvious reasons. He sent me a message saying he can't lose me and that I'm the love of his life. I told him to fuck off and blocked him. I really can't say much, but I'm taking action. Absolutely don't worry about that little prick. It's just a possible last update. It's a bit risky to tell you what's happening now that it's gotten a bit shittier, just in case it gets back to him.
If we found it, he found it. Okay.
So, this is where I read it. So a little bit of context here that we haven't gotten up until now. So she says, I did end up asking him why he declined her offer for a blowjob. I feel like at this point it's pretty done and dusted. There isn't really need to keep lying. He said the main thing is that he didn't want to the main thing was that he was a little bit afraid to cross that line, and that he hadn't rationed to himself that since that he had rationalized to himself that since it had turned physical, it wasn't bad. It hadn't turned physical, it wasn't bad. He didn't really elaborate on why he was afraid, but we were each other's first, so that's maybe why. I cringed a bit writing about her feeling up his muscles. It feels a bit gross to type out for some reason. My soon-to-be ex is a physically big bloke. He's 6'6" and roughly 270. Damn. That is pretty big.
That's a big guy.
He was in the military for a while, and he never got out of that routine. I really don't know what he means when he says his muscles. It could be any of them.
Yep.
My heart does really hurt for him in a strange way. I was a bit panicked this morning after I woke up from the night's drama, worried that if he had a night terror or something. I know that he betrayed me, but I still can't stop hoping that he's okay. I've messaged some of his friends to check on him just in case. So it does sound like, with that context of how big he is, that he probably wants, and being in the military, he wants to feel like a macho man.
Right.
And if this younger coworker made him feel that way, and his wife hadn't, and also more context that I didn't read before, they were each other's firsts.
Right.
So there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that.
Yeah.
And like, if you're each other's firsts, you haven't really experimented with what you like, and your likes and your needs change over the years. And if your communication doesn't change with it,
right. That's
you're
the
going to
big
have
thing.
a big problem.
I mean, I think that's one of the positive parts about dating around is that you get a chance to see different people at different stages of life, at different levels of communication.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're with the same person from the time that you're 18, unless if you're actively working on learning how to communicate better, like your communication could be stuck at like 25, if that. Like if you haven't grown from 18, some people, they just like,
well, they've been together since they were, let me think. So she was 38, he was 39. They'd been together for 15 total years, married 11.
So 23?
23 and 24. It's pretty young, I suppose. And he was in the military, so I'm guessing he got out.
Well, 15 years is a lot of years. The person that I was, the communicator I was 15 years ago, oh boy.
Right.
Not good.
What year is this? 24, 15 years ago, it was 09. Yeah, so the...
That's the... Oh.
What?
I just thought of Snickerdoodle.
Oh. Rip little guy.
Rip little guy.
So if they did get together, and it sounds like if he signed, I don't know how it works in Britain, but here the standard contract length is about 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So if he signed the same thing when he was 18, maybe he got a re-enlistment. The Afghan, oh my God, cut that out. The Afghan war was still going on in 09. So he signed up, and he was definitely fighting in that war. So he comes out of the military, still really young, very egotistical. I mean, I don't know a single person below the age of 25, males specifically, who aren't pretty egotistical.
Right.
So he probably felt like a macho man. And if he's 6'6" and 270, that's pretty big.
Yeah,
that's bigger than the average bear. And so at that point, maybe his wife did make him feel like a macho man. And over the years, their communication didn't grow.
Right.
And their relationship slowly started to deteriorate.
Right.
Which is why he then turned away.
Yeah, if they haven't, I mean, I can only imagine being in the same headspace as like one of my first relationships. Granted, we got together when I was like 23.
We've been together for 4 years.
Yeah, and I'm 27 this year.
Yeah. So you were 23, I was 24. Was I 24? 2020? Yeah.
Yeah, because we're never going to be the same age.
Well, no. Hold on. All right. Well, I was 23 when we first started hanging out.
So I was 22. I don't think that's true.
You were born in 97.
2020.
Yeah. But it was April of 2020 that we met, and my birthday is in May.
Yeah.
So I was 23. I turned 24 because I'll be turning 28 this year, 4 years later.
Yeah, and I turned 23.
Yeah.
I'm
So you're
turning
just
27.
under a year
Yeah.
younger than me. You're 10 months younger. Yeah. So we were both 23 when we met. And then very shortly after I turned 24.
No, that doesn't work because we're not the same. We're never the same age.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, you were 22.
Yeah.
Crazy.
We're always at least a year apart, but for 1 month, we're 2 years apart.
Sure. All right, moving on because we're on a time limit.
Yep. Should we do the other update one? Let's do the other update one.
I don't know. That labiaplasty is looking pretty delicious.
Ew, don't say that. Ew. Sick.
I knew that would get you.
Ew.
You want to do the other update?
Yeah.
All right.
Just because we talked about it, we can't leave the people
Just
hanging.
for the listeners, there is
Yeah.
a story here about her husband requesting that she gets a labiaplasty. So maybe we'll save that for the next one.
Yeah, next time.
Give you a little teaser. So this one, my husband's 36 male affair daughter.
Just start over.
It's early. All right. My husband's 36 male affair daughter, 5 female, was dropped off at our house 2 weeks ago, and it's causing issues in our marriage. Is there any way to salvage this? My 34 female, life is falling apart, and it's all thanks to my husband. We had a perfect life. Both of us worked in the jobs we loved. We have a beautiful daughter, 10 female, and a healthy son, 5 male. When I was pregnant with our son, we both almost died due to complications. The son and the mother. Okay, I was like, how did the husband almost die? I'm like, I can't live without you type of thing. But anyways. So before the birth, and even afterwards, I didn't want to have sex. Why would I? I almost died and my body was in pain for months afterwards, even with strong medication. I thought my husband understood because he never pushed me for sex or even asked. I thought it was because he understood my pain, but apparently he was just getting it from somewhere else. A few months ago, we were visited by Child Protective Services. I was terrified at first, frantically thinking of what we did wrong with our children to cause a visit. But no. As it turns out, some woman I've never met before died in a car accident, leaving behind a daughter, and my husband's name was on the girl's birth certificate, and he was named in the woman's will as the father. I thought it was a mistake at first until my husband told me the truth. As it turns out, while I was suffering my pregnancy and the after effects of almost dying, my husband would go to a woman he knew at work and get it off with her. He said this was as if he did me a favor. Well, as the CPS worker explained to us, my husband is her closest living relative that can care for her. The woman's family apparently wanted nothing to do with the poor little girl. When she asked us if we wanted to take her in, I said yes. She, I'm guessing, is the social worker.
Yeah.
Yes, I know this might be true. Because of all my issues, but my husband pawned that poor girl off to live with her single mother for 5 years. He doesn't get to pawn her away when she needs help. She's his responsibility and now is ours. I told him I'll help take care of the necessary visits for wellness checks and help with whatever CPS wants us to do. All he had to do was explain everything to our children.
Will you pause a sec?
Yeah.
I really respect her for the way that she...
Respect?
Like, because that's what I was thinking. I was like, the most fucked up part of this whole thing is that there's a kid out there that's been without a dad.
And is now without a mother.
Yeah, and there's a mom out there that's had to deal with this on her own for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
With no chance of having any help from the father. Like, that's fucked.
Yep.
That's fucked. Like, you owe honesty to not only your wife and the chick that you had an affair with, but to your kid. And for the wife to be like, this kid deserves better than the situation that she's been put in because of your fucking shitty decisions. Like,
well, something that hasn't been,
agreed.
Something that I was wondering that hasn't been mentioned yet is, did he know about the daughter? Because he did admit to the affair. Let me go back up a little bit.
I mean, to me, it sounded like he admitted to the daughter, to knowing about the daughter.
Well, My husband would go to a woman he knew at work and get it off with her. He said this as if he did me a favor. It doesn't say that he knew about the kid. So, like, it is a little different if he actually knew about the kid and abandoned the mom, but if he just got it off with a coworker once and then dipped and she never said anything about it or quit the job or whatever.
Yeah.
It's highly unlikely, being a coworker, that he had
Right.
no idea.
Oh, you just magically are like 5 months pregnant, 5 months after.
Unless she quit soon after.
Yeah.
Or he quit soon after, one or the other.
Yeah.
Anyways, respect to this lady, because she said, we will take this little girl in. We will raise her as our own because she is your responsibility and I've committed to you, so she's ours.
Right. Like, that's
all you have to do is explain the whole situation to your kids.
Right.
And again, so we're establishing a pattern of a lack of communication, because it sounds like instead of communicating his needs to his wife, sounds like she had a pretty hard time, nearly dying, with all the tribulations of pregnancy, plus the postpartum things that come along with that.
But also, it is not your choice to decide what she can and cannot handle. That's fucked.
Sure, but it's also not, like, maybe he tried to say something and she did not hold it well, or she's like, I don't have time for this, I have my own stuff going on, or whatever it is.
But if he didn't, and he didn't even give her a chance to face the truth,
right,
which is his needs are not being met, even though, like, it can be brought up in a sense of, I know that this is really shitty timing to have to bring this up, but it is what I'm feeling, and I do need to communicate it with you.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like going outside of our marriage to get my needs met. That's the feeling that I'm having right now. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to act on a feeling like that.
I think there's better ways to phrase that. Because ideally, I don't think that it started that way. He didn't want to go outside his marriage. He's like, I need to fuck.
Right.
And I'm horny as hell. And if she's like a lot of women who I've met that get upset about their partner masturbating to porn or something like that,
right,
he's got to hide it. And then that hiding it is like, oh, well, I mean, if I'm hiding this, maybe I can get away with this, or it's a snowball effect.
Yeah.
Either way, he didn't communicate with her, it sounds like. So, but respect to this lady.
Right.
Because she took it on the chin and even gave him a solution. See, that's the other thing too. When you're communicating with your partner and you're having a fight and someone was very clearly in the wrong and you are very clearly upset about that, then say, hey, I'm upset. I have feelings about it, but I know how to get through it. Here's what you need to do to make it up to me.
Right.
And you have to look within yourself to figure out what genuinely would make you move on. Because if you commit to a person, you can't just let these feelings linger.
Right.
You can't just sit
have
there.
to figure out an action plan.
Right. It is your responsibility to figure out, it's the other person's responsibility to make it up to you.
Yeah.
But it's your responsibility to know how to do that.
Right.
You need to communicate that to your spouse. Say, hey, I'm upset. I want to move on. This is how it happens. I need you to be willing to do that and follow through with it.
Right, right.
And then you can also establish a pattern of, hey, you keep not following through, or hey, thanks for following through. And the other thing, if they actually follow through, thank them
acknowledge
for it.
it.
Acknowledge it. People want to be
You're more
acknowledged.
than willing to acknowledge the things they're not doing.
Yeah.
If you ask somebody to do something and they do well, you got to talk to that shit. Because otherwise it's like, I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't.
Give them a verbal gold star.
Yeah, literally.
Maybe.
It's so important. Hold on. I got to go pee real quick.
All right, pause it.
I'm going to pause it.
I know you're going to be editing this, and I want you to know I love you very much, and I'm proud of you for having this podcast.
And
we're back. All
Jinx.
right.
You want a soda? Oh, look, there's one right here.
Oh, geez. All right. All he had to do was explain everything to our children. The fact I'm saying this tells you what he did. Yes, nothing. We had to clean out a room and buy new furniture, and even looked for some toys. Our children go to private school, so I picked up some more work hours in order to be able to afford her tuition. I was the one who had to tell our extended families the big change because he didn't want to do so. I did almost all of the heavy lifting. So color me shocked when his daughter finally joins our family 2 weeks ago, and the first words out of our children's mouths was, "Who's that?" Yes, I was the one who had to tell our children's school, extended families, family doctors, and my workplace about my husband's affair and subsequent addition to our family. But he couldn't tell our children because he was too ashamed to face them. So guess who was the one who had to explain that they have a sister now, as I'm trying to settle the poor girl into her new home and room. And shocker, our children didn't take the news well, as it was happening right in front of them. My daughter was screaming while crying, causing my son and the little girl to cry. A situation that could have been avoided if my husband just did the one thing I asked of him and explained everything to them much sooner. It's been 2 weeks of her living with us, and the situation hasn't improved. My husband has not picked up the slack that comes with having a new addition to the family, so we are struggling right now to make ends meet. I feel embarrassed bringing all 3 children around for appointments and groceries because the little girl is very much obviously not mine, and I can tell people are judging our family. My daughter is much moodier and less happy and refuses to even acknowledge our newest addition to the family. Our son doesn't really understand what's going on, and it's causing him to lash out. And I don't know how to help the poor little girl because I know that if I feel like my life is falling apart, she must feel even worse. I suggested family therapy for our children, even just marriage therapy, so we can hopefully move past this and work together as a unit for all of the children. He's refused everything, saying that he knows he'll be lectured by everyone when all he was doing was trying to help me. I just don't know how to fix this. Please help me. I don't want to divorce him because I just know that will make it worse for the kids, but that's the only option my family is telling me. Meanwhile, his family is begging me to make this work and to just look past it. Thank you. I hear you all loud and clear. We'll be looking into therapy for me and the children, and hopefully a good divorce lawyer. But first, I need to get some answers because some of you are raising some good points. Should we go into some of the points? That's the end of the post, but there's comments.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest real quick, though.
Yo.
I started thinking over you reading, so I'm not quite sure what the problem is.
All right. Here's the TLDR.
Yeah.
Husband cheated on his wife.
Yes.
While she was, it sounded like while she was pregnant with their son, nearly died for whatever reason that wasn't specified, and had some mental issues that came along with that, like the depression and such.
Right.
And his needs weren't met. He cheated with a coworker. That coworker gave birth around the same time as their son. So the daughter and the son, the youngest, are the same age. They're both 5.
Mm-hmm.
And with this woman, he has a 10-year-old girl and a 5-year-old son. With
Right.
the other woman is now this 5-year-old girl
five-year-old
that got
girl.
dropped off 2 weeks prior.
And
the
the
girl,
chick's dead.
right?
Fuck,
Yes,
that
her
was
mom is
dark.
dead.
My bad.
During that time that his wife found out, she asked him to do one thing: explain to everyone, his family, doctors, the kids,
Fess up to his shit.
the school, fess up. Say, hey, I had an affair. Oopsie
Okay.
daisies. Look, I have another child.
And he did it to everyone except for the kids, right?
No, he didn't do it to anyone. He didn't tell anyone. So then this woman is now upset because she had to tell everyone, the doctors, the school, and the kids. They all found out day of, or the kids found out day of, instead of prior like she wanted them to, so they could work through their feelings and talk about it, potentially get therapy. None of that happened. So everything was dropped on them same day. And both of their children are not responding very well. It sounds like the daughter that was added to the family is also not responding very well to the change. And she, as in the poster, is having to pick up the slack for everything.
Okay.
And it also sounded like for a moment in there, it said that they were struggling to make ends meet.
Mm.
It sounds like he has not picked up the financial responsibility that comes with another child.
Fair.
So she's upset. So the comments here: the kids need therapy. If he won't go, that should tell you a lot. He doesn't give a shit about any of you. Also, doing you a favor. See that one right there? He said he phrased it as if he's doing me a favor. That was speculation.
Yeah.
It's
that was
secondhand
her.
from
That's
her.
the
It's
way
her
she.
interpretation.
Yeah.
So I don't think he said I was doing you a favor, but
Right.
I think that's how she took it. He created all this mess. He won't help to fix it. I'd be talking to an attorney second, but therapist first. Someone said this, take your babies and go, OP. He can hire a sitter to care for his daughter. Your first priority has to be your kids, and your daughter sounds like he's not doing well. See, I do have a little bit of a problem with that one because, like, she was already raised by a single parent and bouncing from one single parent to another one after losing permanently your first one. I don't think that's necessarily a good idea, but it's his shit. Yeah,
Real
so
quick. Oh, sorry.
there's an update.
Oh, there's an update?
Yeah.
Well, before we get into the update, this is probably going to be like a hot take, but I don't love that the only solution is therapy. Like, why can't you guys just talk as a family? Why can't you just sit down with your kids and be like, okay, this is what's going on? You know?
Yeah.
How do you feel about this information? You know?
Well, it's
And if you
'cause-
don't feel anything yet, or you start feeling something new, please come talk to me about it, because I know that this is hard information. I know this is going to be a hard adjustment. I don't expect perfection from anybody in this adjustment period. I want everybody to have their feelings known and heard, and like, because like just assuming that the kids are going to need therapy over it, 2 of them are 5. Like, there's a 10-year-old and 2 5-year-olds, and like they don't need therapy yet about that shit.
Yeah.
You do as the parent. If you feel like you need therapy to deal with this, you are the one that needs to go to therapy to get your shit figured out, instead of, oh, this might cause on the children, get the children in therapy. That would be beneficial if they were feeling some type of way about it. But right now, the adults are the people that need to be in therapy weekly for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Dealing with this shit, being honest with each other, trying to see if working it out is an option, and if it's not, how are we going to be productive co-parents?
Right.
Like, there's a lot of shit that needs to be happening here before just throwing the kids in therapy, because if anything, like, you could change the circumstances for those kids by changing your reaction to it.
Mm-hmm.
That could be enough.
Those kids are at an age to where they need to be able to trust their parents. A 10-year-old and a 5-year and 2 5-year-olds,
Right.
they're not going to trust a therapist, a stranger. They don't know what a therapist is, even after it's explained to
Yeah.
them. They know what their parents are, and they should
Right.
be able to trust their parents.
Right. And like, even for the 5-year-old that just lost her mom, you know what's not going to help it? Talking to a stranger for 1 hour every week or
Her dad's
every other
already
week.
a stranger.
Right. Like, what will help is building a relationship with this kid and making this kid feel a part of the home, and teaching everybody how to integrate with each other, because yeah, it's a fucked up story as to how you got there, but like, what are we doing with this information? Stop thinking about the kids for just one moment, you know, like, about
That's the
their
hot take right
reaction
there.
to it. Yeah.
Stop thinking about the kids.
About their reaction to it. Think about your own reaction and how you're reacting based on that reaction. Because to me, it's all like, it almost feels like it's being projected onto the kids.
Yeah.
And it's also like, I'm taking it as like, well, go take it up with God, right? I'm not going to be the solution to whatever feelings you have. So I'll get a therapist and they'll be the one, they'll fix it for you. That's not how therapy fucking works. If you don't know why you're in therapy, it's not going to be used the way that you expect it to be used. You know how you make sure that somebody's learning and coping with that shit? You know what's going on in their life as their parent. Hey, I know that since we had this kid come in, things have been kind of weird around here.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me.
And
How
the
are you
adult.
feeling about it?
You should have an accurate response to the situation for your children on their behalf.
Yes.
They don't understand what's going on.
No.
You definitely do, because you're grown and you have a brain that's been developed.
And to just leave it to a therapist, like, those kids are not going to get out of therapy what you're expecting in your mind that they're going to.
No.
You might,
They will.
because you know exactly what's going on in this situation and what you're upset about. You feel betrayed. How dare you go and be fucking some other bitch while I am at home recovering from almost dying, giving birth to our child?
Sure.
How did that happen? You know, like, that's a big hurt right there. And that has absolutely nothing to do with the children.
The reason I think they're leaning on the therapist is that to communicate all of this to their kids, it requires stones. And the husband did not even have the stones to go face up what he
Right.
did with the school district and the doctors
Right.
and his own children.
Which again is not the kid's problem.
And it's not the kid's problem. It's his problem.
Yes.
And unfortunately, she had to have the stones to go in there and fix his mess, and is still going to continue to have to do that, it sounds like.
I wish that they would have had a mediator. I wish that they would have gone and consulted with somebody who has dealt with divorces before
Mm-hmm.
and help them have the conversation and help them figure out how honest to be with the children. Because there is the case of
You
like,
do need
hey,
to
this
have
is your
age-appropriate
shit.
honesty.
Yeah, like there's the part where it's like, hey, you did this and now you have to own up to your actions. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, your kids do not need to know everything that's going on in your adult life because
Nope.
first
They
of
can't
all, they
handle it.
don't know. Yeah, they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
What is
They
that
don't understand
information?
it, and they don't know how to
Is
deal
it
with
going to be productive? You know? Like, I think that it is a good idea to be honest about the fact you can't just be like, oh, yeah, daddy just has this other kid, you know, that just popped out of nowhere from some magical swan. Like, don't make up a story about it. But at the same time, like, oh, yeah, remember when I was on my deathbed? Yeah, your father took the time to go out there and fuck someone else, and this is the product
You
of
can't
that.
tell them that.
Right. Like, how are you going to go about and have that conversation? That's what they should have been consulting about
Right.
together. Like, not, oh, well, since you won't talk about it, I'm going to go and
Mhm.
talk about it.
And now it's me versus you.
Yes.
And you're in a marriage.
This is something that you guys as a couple, even if you were on the fence about staying a couple, this is something that you guys need to close together as a couple because it happened while you guys were together.
And even if this does end in divorce,
right.
you got to show a unified front for
You
your kids.
do. You do.
got to let them know that, hey, regardless of what happens, we are both here for
Yeah.
you.
Yes. Absolutely.
Like, you got to put your adult shit aside for a second and put yourself in the kid's shoes for
Yes,
a moment. And
that's
what is
where
it like
you-
to be a child in
yes,
this situation?
that's where you think of the children, and instead of trying to pawn it off, it's like, how can I show up best for my children right now? How can I bring this up in the least traumatic way possible? How can I navigate this in a way where it's not causing all this shit on my kids?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's where you think about
hard
them.
to do.
Yes.
Like, it's not easy.
Well, and you're not going to.
But I think
It is a traumatic experience.
if you think about it, because like they're married, so if they think about it like us versus some bullshit instead of a you
Right.
versus me,
Right.
I think that would help them a lot. And
Yeah. This is us versus the kids' trauma.
one
Because it's
thing-
going to happen and we can figure out a way of navigating it so that it's less traumatic.
One thing I don't like about Reddit stories like this or the relationship advice.
Lack of context.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you're gonna get that with anything. Even when someone's telling a story to you in front of your face, you're gonna get lack of context.
Fair.
What I don't like about it is that it encourages the me versus you. There's a few comments here and there that are sensible. They're like, hey, you need to regroup for the kids and put on a face for them. Work
Right.
it out. Sort
But
out
there's a
your
lot
shit
of
on the
people
side.
that'll be like, fuck that dude. He's a
100%.
piece of shit. Like,
And they're all right.
right.
All of them are right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, fuck that guy.
They're
but this
all-
is about the
yeah.
kids. It's not about you versus him.
This is
It's
about you
us-
guys holding
us and
your
the
shit
children
together.
versus some bullshit.
Yeah, because you are the leaders of these children.
Yeah.
You are setting an example actively right now.
And they're going to know. Like,
yeah.
regardless of what you do, they're going to know.
Therapy is getting over shit that's already been done. They're trying to figure out how to navigate
what's better
going
than
forward.
therapy? Showing that you have communication skills and
Yes.
you can communicate your feelings.
Teaching it in the home. 1 hour a week versus all of the hours that you're home in a week. That's a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And if it takes like 20 times of something happening for somebody to get used to it, right? 20 times once a week, that's almost half a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I do enjoy having dinner at the table as a family and being there with the family. We like, hey, let's gather as a family, sit down at this table, share a meal together, and talk. I find it very strange that there are some families that do that and they're like, no talking at the dinner table.
right.
That's
odd.
very strange. Like, no phones at the dinner table, fine, absolutely agree. But no talking at the dinner table is weird. Like, that's your time to bond as a family that you get every single day.
Sounds
work
awkward. You're
schedules
just
permitting.
hearing everyone chew.
It's very awkward. I went over to my friend's house and was invited for dinner and all that, and I tried to talk to him. They're like, "Oh, I know you don't know, but we don't talk at the dinner table." And I was
Is it like a mouthful
okay.
thing?
Didn't ask. I was like 11.
Just take turns taking bites.
It was weird. You all like take bites in a circle or something. I don't know, dude. It was weird. But that's an opportunity to do it. Like work schedules, depending. Not everyone has consistent work schedules where they're able to. I do think that hurts the family dynamic. Like everyone has different work schedules, and we're juggling being able to pay the bills, and then you got I almost died during childbirth, and then you had the gall to go and cheat on me, and ended up having another child with somebody.
You weren't even safe about it.
Right.
You didn't even try to prevent that?
And hopefully all parties involved are clean, as in no STDs or STIs. It's just a
I
mess.
feel like everything is happening out of emotion mode, and I would suggest to step out of it for a moment and look at it from like kind of how I prioritize that task list.
Mm-hmm.
It's like write down all of the hot button issues that are happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
What do we need help with? What is the most important to deal with right now? You know, like as much as most people would not recommend like putting off emotions, like this is a time where you compartmentalize because it's a big fucking deal.
Mm-hmm. And what you're talking about is actually really difficult for a lot of people to start because, I mean, I haven't met very many emotionally intelligent people.
Yeah.
I haven't traveled a whole bunch either. My fault. But there's not a lot of people out there who, in the grand scheme of things, know how to communicate those things. So it's going to be extremely difficult. And a lot of people choose the easier path. Like this guy, the easier path was to go satisfy his needs outside the marriage instead of communicate.
Right.
And at first, it's going to be extremely difficult to do these things. And that's why I think couples therapy would help. Couples therapy will help unify you two for the children. Even if you end up splitting, it shows the children that you are trying for them and you have their backs.
Like, we are going to be co-parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish that my parents would have made more of an effort to be good co-parents.
I'm sure you and a lot of other folks.
That's where I'm, like, why I'm talking about it in this way. As a child of divorce and as a child of divorce that went kind of gnarly. Like, it wasn't, like, crazy. It wasn't, like, a long, drawn-out thing by any means. But it was, like, very traumatic to the family dynamic, and there wasn't one rebuilt.
Mm-hmm. And
like it was just, we lived in a broken family after the family was divorced.
Your situation was fairly docile comparatively to this one. I mean, it sounds like this one's about to be brutal.
Yeah.
Especially on the children. And that third one, the little girl that just came into the family.
That's why I'm saying,
buckle up, kiddo.
There's a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of trauma that has already been set in stone pretty recently.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it hasn't even had the time to like settle to the bottom yet. That's what therapy's for. Is like they are at the point as a couple,
and this whole
where
issue
they
was
need
only
that.
2 weeks old.
Right.
So, well, it may be closer. I don't know how much time had passed prior to the girl living at this place, but since the little girl moved in. And the post, it was 2 weeks and causing a strain. So,
which I will definitely give her the benefit of the doubt in the fact that she is in reaction mode right now. Mm-hmm. Anybody would be. Like, that is the automatic reaction, would just to be like, start putting out fires, you know?
Yeah. So, let's get into the update. Update, same title. Oh, maybe there's a different title. Update. My husband's affair daughter was dropped off at her house 2 weeks ago and it's causing a strain in our marriage. Is there any way to salvage this? No, I'm done. I'm sorry you all were right. It was a lie. When all of you were pointing out how the kids' responses to the youngest arriving didn't make sense, it made me realize how correct that is. They came home to a room all made up and I made passing comments to them about how excited they were for youngest's arrival. They should have known about her. At this point, I decided to ask my eldest daughter directly because she was still so upset about it, and I think subconsciously knew I wasn't going to get the truth from husband. So I went to her room while she was lying in bed and asked her. I told her that I asked her father to explain to the two of them what was going to happen. They saw her new room. I talked about her to them, so I don't understand my eldest's reaction. So yes, it turns out husband didn't tell them and then tell me the truth. A surprise to no one, I am figuring out. The story he told the kids was that the youngest was a daughter of one of our friends and that we felt so bad we had to take her in. Nothing about her being their half-sister or him having a daughter with another woman. Okay, pause.
So he lied.
Hold on. Remember what I said about age-appropriate honesty?
Yeah.
You can't go tell the 5-year-old that their dad cheated. He's not going to know what that
Right,
means.
right.
And even if he does, he's going to, then there's a whole slew of
And
questions.
even telling a 10-year-old the
You
cheating
can't do
part.
They've never been in a relationship, let alone something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like that's something
it'd be
that
easier
you find
to
out
say,
when you're
hey, we're
older.
adopting this girl, because that is the truth. It's
Yeah.
a partial truth. You
Her
are
mom
adopting.
just passed away.
Her mom just passed away. We're adopting this little girl. Welcome him
Right.
as one of our own. Right?
But then the divorce would be very surprising. Why did you just adopt a kid to make us more of a family?
Put your shit down for a second.
Yeah.
Like, suck it up for a little bit. It's hard. It's difficult. I imagine it's very difficult knowing, like, you have to look at the product of your husband's infidelity every single day.
Right.
And take care of that.
Yeah.
Like, that is
But
not
it's
easy.
also a choice. She chose that.
She did. And
They
she
could
took it on the chin.
they could have just been like, you know what? We don't actually have
Sure.
the space to be able to take her in right now. That was an option.
Yeah, and this whole situation is messy. Like, there is no good outcome.
No.
Only better than
You
better
can only
than
minimize
Right.
the
So, age appropriate honesty.
yeah.
I don't think they should have told the full truth of their husband had an affair and this is your half sister and all this other bullshit. I don't think you should have done that. Not until later. I think they do deserve the truth, but when they can handle it,
Right.
not
when they know what to do
right
with
away.
it.
Right. If you just say, hey, her mother passed away, we are adopting this little girl. She
Mhm.
is now one of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, treat her well. She's
Because
a
that is
sibling.
the truth. You're not lying.
You're not lying.
Her mom just passed away. We're adopting her. And then later on, it's like, hey, this is actually your sister.
Yeah. Like, you can't over-explain to a small child because you're wasting air. They're not going to understand it.
But even to the 10-year-old,
And it's
that
gonna
could be a
overwhelm 'em.
giant betrayal. Like,
Could be.
I'm imagining as a 10-year-old, like, how overwhelming it would be to have the full truth.
Sure, but if your parents are teaching
How do I
you
feel about my
emotional
dad?
intelligence, when she's older and she learns the truth, she'll realize we told you age-appropriate honesty.
Right,
We know you
exactly.
deserve the truth, and we told you when we felt it was
Yes.
appropriate. We were not
Yeah.
hiding it.
And if we miss the mark on that, I'm sorry. It's hard to know what
Is
to do
there
in this
any
situation.
mark that you can hit
right,
in this situation?
Right.
And hopefully, if you teach your child emotional intelligence, she'll understand how difficult the situation is
Mhm.
and not take it too personal that you didn't tell the full truth.
Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And even then, even if she gets upset, you can always
It's-
make it up to her.
Yeah, like,
Because you
I'm
tried.
sorry.
You
yeah.
made the effort.
I
You
didn't know
showed
what
her
to
that you
do.
can make the effort.
And that's,
You can continue to make an effort.
it's important to be able to, as a parent, go back and be like, you know what? I had the best of intentions, but I understand that it landed wrong, and I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
Like, I thought about it, and I thought this was going to be the best thing. I appreciate you letting me know that it wasn't, and I'll try better next time.
Yeah. So, continuing on. Nothing about her being their half-sister or him having a daughter with another woman. Well, when she came home that day and the kids asked who she was, the pictures we were able to share of the youngest, she had braids in and wore much different clothing than when she arrived. It was my response to them that ruined his little lie. This is, in parentheses, youngest name, your half-sister, remember? Our son was too young to really get what it meant, but our daughter did. That's why she freaked out that day, not because of the new addition to the family, but because what the new addition meant. I see. So he told the kids a different story, which
Right.
further off of the mystery mark is, oh, we feel bad, so we're adopting this person. And then she's like, hey, this is your half sibling. Now those kids see that you're not a unified front. They see
Right.
that there's two different stories going on. They
Right.
see that there's division in their parents and they don't understand it.
And it leaves the kid to fill in the blanks.
And now they
like,
need
that
therapy.
is the worst part of it in all of it. And that's what I would mediate the most, is answering enough questions to where they don't have to fill in the blanks.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a kid of that age, it's like, how long was it going on? You know, why are they lying to me? Like, what did my dad, like, I know that babies come from two people being in love, and this came from a different and they're the same age as my they're putting together all of these pieces, and it's going to make them not feel safe to come and talk to you because they already know that you guys aren't on the same page and you're not being honest about it. So if you're not being honest about it, why aren't you being honest about it? Like, kids at that age understand enough, but are like, it's also like a timid like place to be because you don't know how much information to share, especially when you see people lying actively.
Mm-hmm. And your parents.
Yes.
Your parents lied to each other and to their kids.
And you found them out.
And
you don't know how to call them out and be like, hey, why do your stories not match up? What's the, you know, they fill in the blanks in their mind instead of asking the questions out loud because the room hasn't been created to ask those questions out loud, which is why I was saying earlier how important it is to lay that groundwork of communication with your kids. When you have feelings about this, please come talk to me. If you have questions about it, please come talk to me.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's continue.
Unified front. That should have happened.
I apologized for causing her to freak out that day, for not sitting both her and her brother down for a real discussion over how they feel and to make sure their father did what he was supposed to do, and apologized for only talking to her now after she had a much deserved reaction to it all. My daughter accepted the apology, and I asked her if that was why she was distant from the youngest. She told me that was part of it, or that's part of it, and because word got out at her school about the newest addition to our family, going to the school meant so now she's getting teased and picked on for having a father who cheated. It broke my heart realizing just how badly I messed up. Dude, kids are savage.
See, I was going to say that's the other thing is that your kid is living a lot of their life outside of the home, especially if they're going to public school.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're going to private school.
That's even worse. That's even worse. The word spreads fast because there's not that many people to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you think, oh, well, they aren't going to find out because, like, I didn't tell him that he cheated, right? Mm-hmm. The other kids are going to fill in the blanks for you.
Yep.
Like,
anyway. If you were to just say, hey, this little girl's mother passed away, we adopted her into our family so she would have a place to go. Sure, kids might eventually fill in the blanks and you're going to get teased. That's the thing about just the public schools in general or private school. Kids are brutal. Regardless of what the situation is, like, they're going to make fun of you for anything.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
Yep.
You don't need to give these kids more ammo.
No.
So if you were to chances are that little girl would get picked on for being adopted. How many times in school would be like, oh, do your parents know you're adopted? You know good goddamn well that you weren't.
Yeah.
But they're still going to do it.
Yeah.
Just to give you a hard time.
Yep. Because kids are savage.
So, by continuing to beg the spineless man they called a father to help them and then allowing myself to get shut down, I was essentially allowing all the kids' needs to be ignored. I told daughter I'll sign her and her brother and sister up for therapy.
Again, I don't love that. Go talk to somebody else is what that says to me.
Of course, the pathetic man tried to plead with me not to when I mentioned signing the kids up, but I told him to give it up already. All 3 children's lives have changed, and it will help them adjust with a professional to speak to. He's been grumbling and whining about it, but I don't care anymore. And this might cause many to be upset with me, but I'm in the process with husband to have him transfer custody of youngest to me. I've grown to care for her, and as some comments in the last post have pointed out, once I do divorce him and leave with our kids, I don't doubt he'll treat her awfully or neglect her. He's been right on board, and it took some convincing, but his parents finally agreed to be witnesses. I got all the paperwork set up and scheduled an appointment with an attorney to help with anything else. Once that happens, I'll try to have everything I need in order to have a smoother divorce and then subsequent move to be closer to my family. Thank you to everyone for giving me a good slap in the face and help me realize that the children and I deserve better, and I was being so gullible into thinking a man who cheats on his dying pregnant wife is deserving of any respect.
See, I knew that she was feeling some type of way about that.
So here's the thing. Everyone deserves respect. What he did, his actions were not respectable in the slightest.
You should have talked about it.
Right. But you should have given him the respect of, I mean, she did give him plenty of respect, but she should have given her kids the respect of handling it with her husband first.
Yes. They should have been a unified
front. You two need to go to therapy over
this,
this, not the kids. And then once you can take what you learn in therapy and try to communicate better with your children. It sounds like she was on her way out the door regardless because of this. Like, I mean, some things mean a lot more to other people. So
right.
if this was what drove her to be like, nope, I'm over his shit, fine.
Right.
That's
if
your own
cheating
bullshit.
was your hard red line that does not get crossed,
It got crossed.
it got crossed,
fine.
and there's a child to prove it.
And she's still willing to take this kid in through all of it.
Yeah, I have a feeling about that. I hope that this isn't what happens, but I'm imagining that that kid is going to be her victim story for the rest of her life. Like,
Yeah.
oh, how did you get this kid? Oh, it was my fucking cheating ex-husband's love child.
Yeah.
You know, and I am such a gracious woman to have saved her from such a terrible situation. Her mom died. Like I feel like it's victim mentality and savior mentality built into just one little being. And like I said, I hope that it doesn't go that way, but I do see
And all
a
that with
situation.
the fresh betrayal. Like,
I do
brand
see
new betrayal.
a situation where that kid is used as a, like, look at how good of a person I am, to not only keep the kid, but to, like, treat her well and care enough to, you know, look at me. And then also the victim story of,
Yeah.
and then it's like, wow, he cheated on you while you were on your deathbed and you still took the kid in.
You know, it blows me away the things people will say when you just talk to them.
Yeah.
Like, if you ask the right questions or people overshare and then you hammer away at that oversharing, you can really dig up some stuff.
Oh my goodness. I
You
am
don't
so
have
good
to
at
talk
it.
to
I don't
people.
even try.
Yeah. People
People
don't
just
realize you don't
spill
have
their
to talk
guts
to
to me.
another person.
Right.
You can just, yep, that's one of my kids.
Yep.
And just keep it to yourself.
Right.
Like, you can have a savior mentality all you want, just keep it to yourself.
Right.
But
Right.
anyways, another thing I was going to say about that situation. I sincerely hope that that kid doesn't get treated horribly by the other two.
Right.
As like, you caused our parents to get divorced. Bro, it wasn't me. It was my dad, dude. I didn't do anything. It was our dad. I didn't do this.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, kids are ruthless.
They are.
And they are probably going to bully her.
And kids
she's
with
gonna
hurt
blame
feelings
herself.
are ruthless.
Right. And she's going to blame her. That little girl's going to blame herself for a lot of her life. She's going to need therapy.
Especially because she doesn't have a strong parental leadership
Right.
that is going to teach her how to handle any of this.
And I hope, it doesn't sound like that's, well, it could be a possibility for all the kids to learn some emotional intelligence because of how the mom originally handled the situation. Because another thing you got to realize, she didn't know she was cheated on until like a month before the post, if that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden she was cheated on 5 years ago,
Right.
and there's a child.
And there's a
product
child
of
to
it.
prove it.
Right. So she's
That you
got
need
a
to take
lot
care
of
of.
fresh emotions going
Right.
through her mind. She's got
Yeah.
all these things that she's been thinking about, her own bullshit. And she's an adult who can understand all this. So it adds to the stress and the anxiety and all this other stuff that you have to deal with as an adult, which is why I don't think there's really a mark you can hit. It's just, it sucks. This whole situation sucks. But hopefully those kids, as they grow older, they realize, well, it's not a 5-year-old's fault that somebody got divorced.
Right.
Or got a divorce. You can't blame a 5-year-old for that. It wasn't her choice that both of her parents cheated.
Right.
Her mom encouraged an affair and her
Right.
dad caused an affair.
Right.
It's not her fault.
Yeah.
It sucks. And like there's just too many people out there, man. There's so many people with different opinions and viewpoints and stuff. And once you all get wrapped up in the daily goings on, plus factor in how the economy is going and how much it costs for all of those kids, it's a mess.
Yeah, it is.
It's a mess.
It is. I really wish that there would have been a list made in all of that. Not many people in reaction mode will take the time to sit down and make a list, but
Nope.
It would have been really beneficial, and she would have learned that the divorce is not the number one priority in this situation.
Yep.
Like, let's take, like, in the grand scheme of things, an extra 6 months in that relationship would not have done a whole lot of, like, bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So hold off for a second. But then again, if you're going to be like treating each other, the other thing, I don't love that she's calling him names.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like if you want to say that to your best friend, go ahead. Right. But this is
It is the internet. Maybe
this
she's
is
not
documented
in those names.
I don't know. I imagine it becoming a routine and it's going to slip in front of one of your kids. And that is not.
Like, you can do that to your friends on the internet all you want. Internet's a little more dangerous because your kids might see it. But
well, I'm just worried she's going to get into the routine of talking about him like that. Even like on the phone with her friend while her kid is eavesdropping. Like, don't get in the routine of talking shit about your children's parents.
Did you ever eavesdrop on your parents?
Yes.
On the phone? Oh, yeah. It's so much fun.
Well, I didn't even have to have my mom talk shit about my dad.
Oh, I'm not talking about that. I mean, just phone calls in general.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just in general, when you hear your mom on the phone talking about adult stuff, you're like, wowee.
Right.
And you want to keep listening.
Right.
And sometimes you hear some stuff you don't want to.
Yes.
Including your father being called names.
Yeah.
Or, hey, we're getting a divorce, and that's how you find out.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes just take it to the car, dude.
Yep.
Take it to the car,
Yep.
drive to the park, leave the kids at home alone.
Like, I really do feel like maybe that's why it's so hard for me to like make the decision about whether or not I want to be a parent. But it's because I think about all of this stuff. Like, as soon as I decided to be a parent, my number one on my head is going to be like providing the best life possible for this kid, right? Yeah. Above like everything besides our relationship. You know?
What do you mean?
Like, we have to be good for them to be good.
True.
Right?
Okay,
like, if we're not a united front, if our relationship is struggling so that I can take care of the kids, that's not going to work out for us. Yeah. But outside of us making sure that we're good, the next top priority is making sure that my kids are good.
I mean, even if we're not good, the kids are going to pick up on it one way or the other.
Right.
And even if we're not good, try to be.
Yes.
For them.
Yeah. No, for us. For us. Because we deserve that. I never want to stay in a relationship because of the kids. Because we did not get together because of the kids.
That's true.
Like, this is an active choice that you and I would be going into together to become parents. And us continuing our relationship and making sure that that's good is my number one priority. Yeah. Above all else, including children, always. Because if I don't prioritize this, the children suffer.
Yeah.
Like, it is not good for them if we're not a united front on the same page.
Yeah. And, like, if you need to go and call and complain to your friend or whatever it is, I was also joking. Don't leave your kids at home alone. Not that young. They'd probably burn the house down.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
Go to the park.
Right.
Like, take them to the park so that they can play, they can do their thing, and you can be on the phone relatively quietly. Or you can just get the woes out.
Right.
There's plenty of ways that you can go about it. And, like, also for folks who go into a relationship with another person who brings in kids from another marriage, you choose into that.
Yes.
Like, you knew about it ahead of time.
Yeah, those are your kids.
Right. So even if you end up having another child, oh, hey, we actually know someone who did. Like, it's a unified front. You're now one big family. You're not. Yeah,
it's not us and our kid
and this other kid. Yeah. It's not another family.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in this situation for the little girl in that situation, she's most likely going to get treated like a second family by the other kids, not by the parents per se, but by the other kids, just because they're like, dude, we grew up without you. Who are you?
Yeah.
And eventually some time will pass when they realize, like, okay, this is our sister. This is like family, but they're kids, dude.
Yeah, this is a very complex situation.
Yes.
This is going to be a very...
Yeah.
Because even with her having custody of all of the kids, it's like there's a couple ways it could go. It could go the stepkid route. It could go the over-appeasing and neglecting the other two because you're trying to make sure that this bonus kid feels loved and accepted in the home and it falls through the cracks with the other two. And then it builds tension between the siblings and the parent and like there's a lot of different ways that this could go, and it takes some very careful navigation and accepting that you're going to fuck up no matter which one you choose. So you might as well, think about it for a second.
A lot of times kids police themselves.
Right.
They go in there, they will be left alone by the nature of how it goes as a single parent. She's going to have to work to provide for the kids. There will be some kind of childcare option, whether it be family or go to their dad's house or a babysitter or something. But either way, they're going to know that, hey, even though our mom has custody of us, we now have to figure it out on our own at these different locations. So they're going to try and self-police themselves, and that's not always a good thing.
No. Yeah. You got to have
Did I say self-police themselves? They're going to police themselves.
Yeah.
They're going to try and check each other.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, I'd say the older sister and the brother are going to stick together.
Yeah, I don't know, but the 2 5-year-olds, they might become
It helps
a
that they're
team.
the same age and it's not a baby.
Yeah. They're going to grow up together. The 10-year-old's going to have the hardest time, I think.
I think so.
And I don't think she's going to have a parent available. She is going to need therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks, but
I think they're all eventually going to need therapy.
eventually, yeah, because it doesn't seem like there's going to be intention laid out to make sure it doesn't.
The gal said that she's moving to be closer to family, so I'm guessing she's
that might
going to
help.
have some familial help.
Then again, now they're not going to see their dad.
But now they're not going to see their dad. Yep.
Or to go see their dad, it's going to be
a fiasco.
It's going to be summers. It's, I don't know. Divorce is never easy.
Nope.
Well, those were fun ones. I'm glad that you found those. I'm excited to do more. I'm actually really enjoying this.
Yeah.
And I still stand by what I said last time, and I think that we should do this while watching, like, MAFs because I love doing that.
Oh, you mean watch the episode and
like a
record?
React. Yeah.
I was thinking we would watch the episode and then hop on the podcast.
Mm-mm.
Like take notes during the show.
No, we're like watching it in real time. Like, you know how we pause and talk about it and then unpause and stuff.
I think that can go a little dangerous. Like, you know how when we were arguing, you and I get a little bit ahead of you and I don't let you finish, and I start saying something like, if you would have let me finish, I would have said that.
Yeah.
I think it would be better if we were to watch the episode and then do it. But
no, I don't like it that way.
All right, we'll try both ways.
It's not the way I imagine it.
Okay. We'll try it both ways.
Because we have feelings every 5 fucking minutes. You want to watch 50 minutes and then try and talk about it? It doesn't really work that way. It would be shorter of a
podcast than an hour of an episode that we have to pause and talk about for 10 minutes. That's a 5-hour podcast, dude.
Fuck it.
Whatever. It's your podcast. We can try it. Try it out.
But anyway, thanks for doing this with me, dearie.
You're welcome, sweetie.
I appreciate you being here.
Oh, I appreciate being here.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Mental Odyssey is a Dream and Do podcast, produced and edited by yours truly. The music is owned by Chill Hop, and this song is Velocities by Sleepy Fish. Go check them out. Thanks for being here.